everybody, Larkin Greene with FPD. Today I want to talk about foam boards and some of the things that you can do with foam boards which you may not know about. But before we do that, I want to talk about the stickiness of foam boards. We've received quite a few comments about the foam boards seeming stickier than they used to be and wanting to pull out the pour-in pads when you remove the board. So this is something that I've experienced myself, and I know it's a real issue. I've contacted the manufacturer and they say there's been no change to the adhesive backing on these boards, but so we can't change the product right now, but I will give you 3 solutions to deal with this, and they're all pretty simple. The first of which is kind of a no-brainer, and that would involve simply trimming the board and letting the horse wear it off. If you don't want to do that, there's another pretty easy way, and that would simply involve de-stickifying it. I know that's not a word, but it sounds right. You can take some of the stick off of these by simply sticking it to your apron a bunch of times and taking some of that stick away, so that will make it easier to remove. The third method is a little more involved, but no more involved than what you learned in first grade art. So come in a little closer and we'll take a look at that one. So this method is pretty simple as well. Before you put the shoe on, you want to take this and put it on a foam board on the white side, and then just take a felt pen or a pen, pencil, whatever you have, and just draw the inside edge here. And that should look something like that. And then we're going to cut off, we're going to, with just a knife, we're going to cut through that, and we're going to peel off everything outside that line. And what it should look like is this. So this is what it will look like afterwards. So when you stick this to the shod foot, it will look something like that, and the pour-in material will not stick to the mylar, the white mylar, but the blue side will stick to the shoe. So it's pretty simple fix. It doesn't have to be super accurate, but that works really well. Alright, so it's always nice when there are simple solutions to problems that don't involve a lot of effort. So I'm going to show you a couple other things that you can do with these foam boards that you can do to augment or alter the pour-in pad. And mostly it's about traction, but I'm also going to show you an emergency application with foam boards where you want them to be as sticky as possible. So let's do some close-ups and we'll show you how to do that. So if you want to get more traction out of a pour-in pad and you want to, say, put a frog into that pour, you can do kind of the same thing. Take the shoe before you put it on and set it on the foam board, and once again we're going to trace the inside edge here. What's different about this time is we're going to actually freehand a frog into this. So we're basically just going to draw the frog that we want, and it can be short and fat, it can be long and skinny, it can be pretty much any shape you want. And then we're going to cut this out with scissors or a knife, and it should look like this. So we stick this to another foam board, and then that is actually applied to the foot. So let's take a look at what that pour looks like after it's done. Okay, so this is what it looks like after you've peeled off the foam board, and you can see I didn't do so good with my first grade art. I got a little bleed over there, but that's okay. So now, because I put the white side down, this should be pretty easy to pull off. I'm going to help it out by just using a razor knife here. So once you get this out, you can see the result. I'll have to get that. So that paper comes out. And there's your frog. So this stuff can just be cleaned up. You can roll it out of there, or you can leave it, either way. But that's how you get a frog into a pour-in pad. So let's take a look at another form that you can use to add traction to a package like this. Okay, so another form that you can make results in a stepped pour. And so we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to lay the shoe on the foam board, and we're going to trace the inside, but we're really just going to go from the widest point of the shoe around to the widest point. And of course you can pick where you want that line to be, but just freehand draw it across and it should look something like that. So when you cut that out and put it to another foam board, it will look something like this. And so again, we're going to stick that to the shod foot, and let's see what that pour looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like after we've pulled the foam board off, and I'm going to use a better tool now instead of my razor knife to get this out. And again, because I put that white side down, it's not going to stick. So you can clean this up a little bit if you want, but basically the front part, the toe area, is recessed and the heel area has full support. And so you can vary this as you want. So it's a good traction device. It's also good for heel support and not pressuring the toe area. Sometimes when we're doing a pour-in, we want something softer up front than we would want in the heels, and so there are times when we may want copper sulfate Equipack in the heels and regular Equipack in the front, or regular Equipack in the front and something firmer like Solgard in the back. So that's very easily done just by making a hinge out of a foam board. So the first thing that we're going to do is we need to estimate where we want that where we want the heel pour to end and the toe pour to start. So let's say on this we want it to be 3 inches. So we're going to transfer that to the foam board, and we're just going to make a mark at 3 inches, a couple of sides, and then all we really have to do is score the white side. So we're not actually cutting through it, but we're cutting part of the way through it. And that allows us to have a hinge. And again, this doesn't have to be, super perfect, but what this enables us to do is put this on the foot and be able to fill the front half by folding this down. Fill the front half with whatever you want to fill it with, and then as you fill you let that set, then as you fill the back half, you fold this up, and that way you can get what's called a half and half pour. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. And this is what it looks like. So this is I've used this package on horses with one key difference. So this is Equipack Soft up front. If this were on a live horse, I would put mesh in there for sure. So thrushy in back, thin soled up front. The shoe, this is a comfort shoe, so this has a nice rolled toe to it. Good heel support. So that's the half and half pour. And if you, I'll show you an alternative to that. If you only have one foam board and you need to do 2 feet, you can do it this way. So you make the hinge, but you've already cut the foam board to fit the foot. And so what that enables you to do is put the white side down and run a few pieces of duct tape around it, and then you can do the fill and you can reuse the foam board because this won't stick to the material. So little tip there. Alright, I think there's one more thing that we're going to show. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to tell you about is sort of a band-aid, or it's something that you might want to put in your emergency kit. So if you work in the realm of therapeutics at all, you know that you can't always put the shoe package on that you would like to. Sometimes there's nothing to nail to. Sometimes the horse can't take the concussion of driving nails. And more often than not, there's pathology present that would prevent you from gluing something on. So it really limits your options quite a bit, and sometimes you just need to get the horse to stand on something supportive, to elevate the foot, give them something soft to stand on. And so that's what we're going to talk about here. So again, we're using tracing, and I'm going to demonstrate on my, my stick horse here. So basically we're going to trace the perimeter of the foot onto a foam board, cut that out, stick it to another foam board, and we keep doing that until we achieve the thickness of the pad that we want to put on. So this is a situation where you really want these foam boards to be very sticky, and so that's an advantage. So basically I've made a stack here of 4 foam boards. You could do 5 if you wanted. You could do really pretty much any thickness that you want. But this is designed to fit onto the foot and provide some elevation and some cushion for a horse that needs it. So we're going to put this on with duct tape, and I highly recommend the Gorilla Glue duct tape. It's better all the way around. And I found that if you use this super sticky duct tape, but you also clean and dry the hoof itself, you can actually get this duct tape to stay pretty reasonably 3 to 5 days without coming off. And so it's definitely a temporary type thing, but sometimes a few days is all you need to decide what you're going to do longer term. So the first thing I'm going to do is, once I've stuck this to the foot, and of course you can actually use this to hold medication in. So you could put some like blue gel antibacterial agent. You could use CS plus clay under this. So it's a good way to actually hold medication in as well, as long as you don't cover up so much surface area that this won't stick. So the first piece of tape I'm going to put on is going to be on the bottom. Going to be on the bottom. Normally I would have the horse stand on this, and it goes right up the dorsal wall. Okay. Second piece goes from one heel to the opposite toe quarter. Third piece, same thing, the opposite heel to toe quarter. And then the final piece, and of course you can use as many pieces as you want, but this I've found tends to work. So then the final piece will be a perimeter piece. And if you've properly cleaned and dried the hoof, this package will actually stay on pretty effectively for, I would say, up to a week. And owners can do this. Pretty much anybody can do this. You can leave materials for an owner to change this out if you need to do it for several days, and it crushes. So this is a really good, quick and easy emergency patch kit or emergency band-aid for a horse that needs something to stand on right now. So that's all the things that you can do with foam boards. I'm sure there's more. That's how I do it. You go do it your way.